Welcome to Goosebumps. Hey friends, welcome back to some more Goosebumps. Now today we're on chapters 9 and 10. And as always, it's important to pay close attention so that at the end you can answer your questions with complete sentences. All right, let's get started with chapter 9. Ian gasped, staring in disbelief at the dozens of cackling dummies. Their mouths clicked and their cold, ugly laughter rang in his ears. He forced himself to spin away from them. He lowered his head and ran. He shoved the door with both hands. It didn't budge. Frantically, he pulled and it finally creaked open. Ian ducked into the dimly lit hall. He was standing at the very end, squinting into the gray light. He called for his dad. "Where are you? Can you hear me?" His voice echoed off the stone walls. Silence. No reply. "Dad, where are you?" The only sounds were his ringing voice and the thuds of his pounding heartbeats. He forced his legs to move and began to trot down the middle of the hall. This long corridor had no doors or windows, no brightly lit displays. He ran past solid gray walls. He felt as if he were running through an endless tunnel. Ian stopped when the hallway turned. He found himself in another long corridor, this one lined with doll displays. "Dad, are you down here?" The dolls stared out at him from their glass cases. A weird forest scene was jammed with doll and bear faces. They wore suits and dresses and stood on 2 feet, but their faces were furry with long bear snouts. The next case showed angels with filmy wings and halos over their heads, flying in a cloudless sky. "Dad? Hey, can you hear me?" Ian's side hurt from running. He slowed to a walk as he made his way down the hall. It turned into another. He stopped. Maybe I should go back. Maybe I shouldn't wait for Dad in the room with the ventriloquist dummies. He might be back there now, expecting to find me there. But Ian realized he was completely turned around. He stood in the middle of this new hall, gazing one way, then the other. Which way? Which way? He started walking again and stopped at the end of the hall. Ian peered into a brightly lit glass office. A young woman sat at a desk, typing on a laptop. Ian saw posters of antique dolls on the wall behind her. A large brown teddy bear was propped up in a folding chair beside her desk. She had short brown hair and was dressed in a dark blouse and jeans. She looked up and saw Ian staring in at her, and her mouth opened in surprise. He stepped into her doorway. "Can I help you?" she asked, her face still tight with alarm. "We are closed today." "I know," Ian said. I'm looking for my dad." The young woman squinted at him. "Your dad?" "Dr. Klausman was showing us around," Ian explained, "and we got separated." She studied him for a moment. "I'm sorry. Please repeat. Who was showing you around?" "Dr. Klausman," Ian said. The woman frowned at him. "I'm sorry," she said. "There's no one named Dr. Klausman who works here." Chapter 10. "Why don't you wait right here?" the woman said, standing up. "I'll have the security guards show you the exit." "I have to find my dad first," Ian thought. "There's something very strange going on in this museum." He spun around and ran back into the hall. He heard the woman shouting for him to stop, but he took off, running down the long corridor, dolls staring back at him all the way. Breathing hard, he turned a corner, and that's when he saw the figure in the far distance. So far down the hall, Ian could barely see him. "Dad?" Ian squinted hard, struggling to see. The man was walking slowly, half hidden from the haze of the white ceiling lights. He walked steadily, arms down at his side. Ian waited for him to come into focus. It had to be his dad. Had to. But why was he walking so slowly? "Dad? Here I am. Dad?" Ian's voice rang off the walls, echoed down the hall. He started to trot towards the approaching figure, but after a few steps he stopped with a gasp. The man wearing the baby doll mask, Dr. Klausman. Ian called, his high voice and shrill. The masked man didn't answer. He just kept walking, slowly and steadily, moving toward Ian like some kind of machine. Or like a puppet, Ian thought. "Dr. Klausman? Have you seen my dad?" Ian cried. No answer. The man came slowly, walking closer. The baby doll mask glowed pink under the ceiling lights. Why isn't he answering me? Ian wondered. Fear suddenly tightened his throat and froze him in place. The man came towards him, hands at his side, slow, steady steps, his shoes scraping the marble floor. Panic kept Ian from turning and running. The grinning baby doll face with its red lips and only a few yards away, and the man stopped inches in front of Ian. Dr. Klausman? Where is my dad? Can you tell me? Silence. Please, Ian cried. Answer me! Answer me! With a desperate cry, Ian raised both hands. He raised both hands and ripped the mask away. He tore the mask off and stared at the man's face. And then Ian uttered a roaring scream that echoed down the endless hall. And we will have to see what happens tomorrow on the next chapter. It's getting pretty tense. I can't wait to see what's happening, but you have a job to do. Go in and answer those questions, use complete sentences, and do your best work, as always. You don't do your best work, we add more questions. So do your best work. We'll see you tomorrow for chapters 11 and 12.